Very good evening, Zena family and my friends. Hope my voice is audible. It's a quick check. And before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Swaminathan Murli, just about 67 years young, born and brought up in Trichy on the banks of River Kaveri. Studied at Campina School in Trichy, one of the best Anglo-Indian schools out there. Did my pre-university at St. Joseph's College, and then the real bang started. I went to BITS Pilani, which changed my entire focus. I was no more a bookworm as such, and started learning the pros and cons, what human value is, what life is, other than studies. BITS Pilani had been a platform which is a real stepping stone in my career, for it has taught me the art of man making, literally. It is not the academics, it is not the academics part. Of course, academics is part and parcel of everyone's life. I happen to do my MSc Honors in Chemistry, MSc Honors in Biosciences, a 2 master's degree, which was very rare and those days, and I was a science scholar. And as I was doing my final year, there was a big fight between 2 professors to take me as a research scholar. One is Professor Dr. V.S. Rao, the head of organic chemistry, and Dr. Sandhya Mitra, head of biological department. Because in both, I was almost the toppers and did very well in both the subjects. And to pacify them, I had to choose a subject which is common to both, so that both can guide me for my research in parts. One is basically it was an environmental betterment and effluent control studies. Had to collect lignosulfonates from Sirpur Kagas, which is a paper factory, and extract the effluents. And from the effluents, we had to extract some alkaloids. And extract the alkaloids I did with various chemical aspects. And we identified one factor, which was lecithin, a cancer cure drug, and we had to laboratory synthesize it. We did the synthesis part exactly as it was in the original nature, matched it with all the IR, UV spectrophotoscopy, all sort of things, and published some papers in it. And then this extracted compound we have to try on its pharmaceutical appliances, wherein we had to inject these on guinea pigs and find out the effects of how this lecithin, which is a cancer cure drug, helps in treating cancer in guinea pigs. So we had worked out on guinea pigs on this, and it was a real great. This was under the bioscience head of the department man. And while doing this, it was such an interesting and challenging topic and important to this. There was a drawback. There was a decrease in the faculty at BITS, and I was immediately posted as a faculty at one of the practice school stations at Indian Rayon Corporation. It was there I was out of touch with my basic subjects. I had to guide the final year chemical engineering and mechanical engineering students at Indian Rayon Corporation as the head of practice school out there, and train them in all the nuances and making them ready for the university industry linkage program, under which they had to come out with flying colors under the course development program of which was a part of that. So this made me literally out of touch with my laboratory work and my test tubes and all these microtomy and all the lab work. So I knew this is going to change my fate, as I was spending almost 3.5 semesters, almost 2 years, without going back to my basic love of research. So I decided to quit. Called it quits, and I was so desperate for a job. I was selected as the third in the all India basis of the ONGC's written test at that time, and I was designated as a chemist. So I thought I'd be doing something relevant to chemistry in ONGC, and had a unique, great experience out there. And it was there when I was doing my work in the fields of rather fathoms of offshore in East Coast, mainly up to Andaman's deep sea wells. It was a unique experience. I'll share it sometime later, wherein we had to go work on 14 days on of duty, go out there, share by a helicopter. We were heli dropped at the rig, stayed there for 14 days, and then had to return back with a 14 days off period. And it was a unique experience. And for 9 years, I had been doing that. And in that time, I did some sort of statistical analysis on some fast-moving chemicals which we have been using in the rigs. And this I presented as a paper during one of my off periods. And this was very much appreciated by my director. And he immediately created that as a norm. And then that was a stepping stone for me to switch over to the material management department. So I soon rose to the level of the head of material management. I was catering to very high value contracts and inventory management. And so from a basic test tube to a strict official on handling inventory and all these things, there has been a sea change. In between, there was a need for computerization of the whole gamut of activities. So I was trained and got specialized training in Oracle. I was a database administrator, switched over to database and computer science in the aspects, completely migrated the entire manual work to the soft version of this SAP RP, and was handling the entire gamut of activities, of all inventory of around 40,000 crores of material which we have been buying all over India. And it was a huge sum and huge this thing, handling it, computerizing it was a very large database management system which I was interested to. And that's how I came into material management, rose to the level of highest level of general manager out there, and carried out my duties for 33 years. So all these years, the experience which I have gained one by one, I'd like to share, which post-retirement since November 17, I started scribbling. I had a flair for writing right in my school days itself, but then all these sort of culminated in a series of authorship, I may call it, and I started literally scribbling books left, right, and center, wherein I had to be exposed to different schools of thought and didn't know how to publish them. So I took severe intensive training for almost 8-9 months. The first year of training, 18-19, under various forums and Google guidance and things like that. And I published my first book, self-published my first book without any publisher's help, with all the lessons which I learned. Thanks to COVID's break of about 1.5 years, everything I was accessing through online. And this is my first book, which you can see. It is called Interpersonal Undercurrents. An experience about this interpersonal undercurrents comes from my practice school era. During my practice school times, there was a cyclone, and post-cyclone, I had around 10 students with me at Indian Rayon Corporation, Verawal. So I told them, let us go cycling and do some social service, because 2 bridges were cut off and some villages were isolated. So we thought we'll go do some social service out there and call the students, let us go cycling to these places, do some social service. All of them immediately agreed. It was on a Saturday, Sunday. All of them immediately agreed to come on this, but 2 of them reluctantly raised their hands. When I noticed this as a faculty, I noticed that they had reluctantly raised their hands, called them individually to my chamber and asked them, what is the problem? Why you have raised your hand reluctantly? They said, sir, we do not know cycling, and we are ashamed to tell amidst the peers that we do not know cycling. Otherwise, we'll become a laughing stock amidst us. Imagine all these were final year engineering students, and this was the state when I called them for this. Then I realized and convinced them, okay, we'll get only 8 cycles and 2 of them will be accompanying as doubles, and I'll convince all the others that cycles are not available and only 8 are available or for rent. And this is the culmination of that. Interpersonal, how they are reluctant how people are reluctant to come out of their shells and what makes them shy. So this is one thing which I learned and I thought I'll share. And this book is very, very close. It talks about emotion, empathy, and the psychosomatic factors of both the heart and the mind with which we correlate, we interact, and we come up. I wish all viewers out here have your hands at this, one of the best-selling books out from Amazon. It's available in Amazon. My next book is about, with all my experience from bits and my teaching experience out there, and how to build a team. So during Veraval, there were a lot of sights and many seagulls were flying across, especially during the evenings. So this book, if you can see, is a group of seagulls flying across the nation, flying across the skies, and how they were, especially in the long flights of migration, how one bird takes the lead and subsequently hands over the lead to the others. And if you see, the tail bird keeps on giving a hooting sound, encouraging the others. So this sort of a step of encouragement and not having a single leader, but all are considered as leaders when they go on rotating in synchrony, in sync, changing the lead positions and sort of things. This concept of job rotation, which is coming up in the modern day time, is very well apt with some basic management by objectives details, which I learned from bits at bits. All these are implicated, and this is my second book, which is very close to my heart. This has also been doing well and available at Amazon. I can go on speaking of all these volumes. In between, I am a bit crazy. Any small incident which occurs to me, I'll try to put them in flow of thoughts. So one such thing is the musings. This is a poetic extravaganza wherein whatever small scribble, I'll just read a small few lines of my one of this. My grandson's first day at creche. My grandson, when he was about 2.5, we took him to a small play school on which I wrote this. A new chapter starts today for a special little one. A grandson on his first day at creche is begun. My world of wonder awaits with toys and books and friends, a place where laughter echoes and joy never ends. Though you may feel a little scared and miss you by your side, know that we are there for sure and love you as your guide. So these are all small snippets, emotions, reflections, and empathy. The art of being busy without business. I keep on telling Rajiv about this. This itself is another poem like this, and I wish you lay your hands on this. My next book, daily I have a dirty habit of scribbling whatever small incidents happen in and around me and convert it into a positivity. And next day I used to post it with a small title called The Art of Waking Up to Happiness. I have around 250 episodes of such Art of Waking Up to Happiness, and I've been bringing out books of every 25 episodes for a month. That was what was the plan. And so far, I've brought out only 2 books. Others, I keep on writing, but I do not have, I mean, I'm not able to cope up with the time and the backlog which has been coming up. And I've been doing this in my background. I have published 2 volumes. This is one such volume called The Waking Up to Happiness. I just show you both of them. Wake Up to Happiness, Volume 1. And this is Waking Up to Happiness, Volume 3. It took me nearly 1 week to design the cover for this, wherein I thought of putting a cup of coffee with a sunrise in it and the steaming out. This special design took me quite a lot of time. It is basically the essence of radiant living, emotional resilience, renewed energy, and the transformation power of positivity. All these are happening based on small incidents. My son comes home late in the evening and he used to say something, or he used to be angry, today's day was bad, or something like that. I used to convert that incident into a positivity and scribble, and this is the outcome of this. My next book is on the rhythm of life. And now, if you feel like intervening and asking anything, you can feel free to stop me. Next one is the rhythm of life. Here, it was a deep, more philosophical aspect, and people might have felt my philosophical tinge in one or two sort of episodes. For example, in this book called The Rhythm of Life, it is a poetic ode on the philosophical thoughts, the psychological behavior, and the emotions in tranquility, which Wordsworth used to call emotions in tranquility. And it is, in fact, an inner awakening if you are in that transient level wherein you can open up your new vistas, a new way of thinking, a new concept. Taking my life itself as an example, from a chemist, from a hardcore scientist, from test tubes to handling high value contracts to computers to whatnot, and now scribbling books and articles. This sea change of transforming myself from, is it my true potential? I don't know, but this is a part of my passion. And I started this as a passion and loved it. We all know that nothing is permanent except change. And so I try to change myself for the betterment. And trust me, today, almost 7 years of my post retirement, I'm very contentful and happy that I have been spending my time usefully to all this. And the best point is, all the royalty which I'm getting from the books, other than my expenditure, I am giving it to an orphanage and an old age home on a monthly basis. So this book, poetry, I'll just give you one poem on. There is a hemlock effect. There is a comparison with others. Mind the mind. I just read this. Mind the mind. Mind the mind. It keeps minding you. Mind you. The inner eye of the mind awakens the mind to remind you, to keep you mind, to keep your mind in the right frame of mind, to mind one's own business without minding others. Soothe the mind. This is, if you contemplate on it, it is just a momentary flow, but when you see it at a later stage, it reflects a lot of philosophical instincts and a philosophical touch. My another best poem, which is close to my heart, is The Inner Eye. The eyes, the windows of the window of the world, the gift of perception of the visual spectrum, of the colors of the rainbow. Eyes, the windows of the soul that reflects everything within an unbiased perspective that is nothing but the truth. The eyes that loudly sparkle with beautiful colors of iris that twinkles and winks and every spectacular sight. The eyes that awakens the inner spirit, the kundalini, you may call it, brings out the true you of yourself that you'd like to be. All this is available in The Rhythm of Life, which is one more book. My next book is called The Sunrise of the Soul. Unfortunately, I don't have a right print copy out here. It is still under print because all which I have had is gone. It is about 165 pages of around 93 poems. That book is also very close to my heart. Recently, one of my colleagues had expired, and for his soul to rest in peace, I presented that book, and his wife was so happy with it that she feels, even today, she feels that it is really touching, and she's feeling that her husband is with him. And that's sort of a book I have written over there. My recent two books, one is called The Cognitive Emotional Intelligence. This one talks mainly about the importance of emotional intelligence. See, we all have been contemplating only on IQ. So the difference between IQ and EQ and how to measure it, all these aspects have been brought out in the cognitive emotional intelligence. Another book, which is really an eye-opener. All these books are, if you see, basically non-fiction. Non-fiction in the sense, if anyone wants to read a non-fiction book, he normally feels, "Arey, isko kya padhna hai? It is not a story, it doesn't have a this thing or that thing." But my books, I have lot of small anecdotes filled in to make it really interesting. Otherwise, just talking about psychology and philosophy will be drab. And I try to introduce a lot of snippets of stories. I'll just tell a small story, which I, of course, collected from one of my friends. This thing. This is about a person with due regards to not hurt personally anyone. There was a very staunch Christian, a very orthodox Christian, and he has never missed going to the church. One fine Sunday, when he was going to the church for his mass, his telephone accidentally rang. No fault of his, but the pastor looked at him very nastily. His friends and peers looked at him very oddly, and he stumbled to switch it off because in that nervousness he was not able to, his hands were not functioning, and he was not able to be control the mobile and things. It fell down, it started ringing louder, and his wife and children were also not liking the behavior. So what he did is that evening he was so literally pissed off, he went to a bar and he started having order for a drink. Thinking all these incidents in the morning, his hand started trembling and he felt bad. The drink spilled on the table. The bartender, a woman, a lady, was kind enough to say, "Oh man, stop it, it happens to everybody." She was kind enough to wipe up the entire mush and offered him a free drink. From that day, he never missed going to the bar and he was reluctant to go to church. I'm just narrating the story. Imagine a true Christian has been affected emotionally by one single incident. Why can't you be emotionally sparked? Yesterday we talked about sparking by Dr. Reedy say, a beautiful session in the evening. Similarly, there is a spark which sparks off an incident. So how to look for these sparks and how to convert it into a utilized view. I mean, though I gave a bad example, I mean, I was just giving an example only to show how it had affected. Another incident I would like to talk about is creating opportunities. A shoe company was planning to establish or extend its market and open a new firm in a remote area in Africa. He sent a top marketing manager to that place and to have a visual view and find out the feasibility of establishing a shoe company. He came back after a few days and said, "Sir, it is useless to establish a factory out there because people are so poor and they are walking barefooted and they cannot afford to buy our shoes." The same, the CMD was disappointed. He sent a young GT to the same spot. He came back after viewing the same place. He came back. "Boss, it is an excellent opportunity. There are many people who are walking barefooted. It is high time we produce cheap model, comfortable shoes which they can afford." And that is how the concept of sandals cropped up. And that young kid was made a CEO of the company and it was established in the country. So opportunity just knocks, and it is up to us to keep an eye and ear open to these opportunities. All these aspects are covered in that. And my previous book was on the realms of astral planes. So one must be wondering, what is an astral plane? This again, courtesy, my practice school session when I took over from one of the professors at Indian Railway Corporation, Varanasi. There was one professor, N. Chandrasekhar. I don't know whether he's Raji University or not. You may not be knowing because he's junior to me. And he was highly philosophical and was deep in meditation. And he used to talk about ethereal layer and meditation and things like that. So when I was taking over from him, it was a matter of a few weeks which I had to know the ins and outs of my nature of the job, he acquainted me with all the officers, all the peers and things, and he also acquainted me to this meditation aspect. Otherwise, I was not very keen in meditation other than going to the temples as a religious ritual. So he taught me this meditation daily, 15-20 minutes of literal meditation. It makes me forget what I am for at least 15 minutes to half an hour, and I won't know what is happening in my surroundings. It really transcends me to a different plane. This experience I have mentioned in this book called Realms of Astral Planes. And here I have taken anecdotes and analogs from the movie Avatar, where you see people flying and clubbing each other and all those things. It is an analogous to that. I've given a lot of snippets from Avatar itself and how these things are coming up, and it is a book of that particular nature. And last but not the least, this year I have made a resolution that every month I'll publish one. And so far, fifth month, I have published 5 books this year so far. So far, I published 12 books in my career. And this is the this month I have published 5 books. This latest book of this month is called Mind Reality Connection. What is mind and how we perceive reality? This is one of the again philosophical topics. What we perceive and what you perceive may be different. It is like if you have seen the serial The Monk in TV, how a detective sees what other detectives do not see, and how even like take for example even Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. It's the same analogy. Everyone is saying that, but how Sherlock Holmes was able to find that, it is that sort of a grooming, how we are able to control the mind to see what is essential and to this helps even reading faster, reading 10 times faster. What is the normal speed which you all feel by reading a book? Say 200 words per minute, whereas I can read at least 600 words per minute, and there are people who are reading around 1,000 words per minute and able to comprehend the text. So this is what comes up by practice and perseverance. These are small aspects which I thought I'd like to share, and this continuing exercise will go on for some more time. I am writing my next book called The Emotional Alchemy. So what is happening when we are emotionally triggered? There is which factor in the brain, amygdala in the brain of the hippocampus, how it reacts. When you see a snake, whether to attack it or run away. When you see a tiger, you have a tendency to run away. When you see a snake, you have a tendency to hunt for a stick and kill. What is that factor which triggers fear or favor? And all these thorough biochemical analysis is coming up in that book. It's Emotional Alchemy, and you can watch out for that. I have few more books lined up, like what is this Wake Up to Happiness. Another 4 volumes of series will come out automatically whenever I do find the time, because every episode I'm having only 25 days articles in the book. So I have already written around 252 articles in this Wake Up series, and all these I have to say, I have enough stock for publishing at least 8-10 books. So this is in brief about my journey of writing books, and started as a passion. In between, while writing books, while doing the research for the book, while going into the nitty-gritty issues of the book, I use what is known as the Pomodoro technique, 15-minute break or half an hour break, in 25 minutes break and things like that. And in that small break of 10 minutes, I play 1 or 2 games of chess of 1 minute duration or 2 minute duration. I'm basically a chess player. I love playing chess. I represented the national A and even played for the veteran sports company. So with a small brief and with a small series of my 12 books, and one more book which I have missed out right now is called A Quote a Day, A Miracle Every Day. This is one of very close books. My author friends, my poets, I've been getting a lot of accolades. All these poetries and all I've been publishing in small poetic groups like poetry autopsy, poetry competitions, uh, micro micro poetry club, and there are so many, at least from 17 poetry different poetry clubs I am a member, and keep on posting poetries in all these clubs and get a lot of appreciation and got a lot of awards. So far, I've got at least more than 150 odd awards. And last week's poem, Dancing with Divinity, uh, that has also won an accolade recently, which I shared with the group. And this is how my poetry also started side by side. So seven of these poets of different groups, we clubbed together and decided we write a quote a day and put it out in the form of a book. And we categorize them. And imagine, so in 1 month we were given we had a target of 50 quotes a day, and some even wrote more, and so forth. We had scribbled around 400 quotes within a month, and it was regularly monitored by the team members. And we brought out this categorized under different headings, quote per day by seven of us authors, and that incidentally was released yesterday, 23rd, and it is a best ranking bestseller, hot new release book which I shared with you. So this much about my experience. I must thank Zena family and especially Raji for giving me an opportunity for this great exposure, for this wonderful pep talk about, and giving me an opportunity for this one-on-one talk. Thank you, Raji. Hope I have not exceeded the time, and the house is open for questions among viewers and the Zena family. Rajiv? Yeah. Hello.